The Midnight Selkie, Chapter 18. The atmosphere on the boat remained quiet and solemn. No one was comfortable. Not even the lovely twilight brought any comfort. Nemo sat against the outside of the cabin, sniffling and wiping his eyes. It was the first time since Raleigh had met him that he had seen him cry. "Nemo, it'll be okay," he offered. "I mean, it's not like you don't have somewhere to go. I'm sure if you wanted, Mom would let you live with us. We really could be like brothers then." "It's not the same," Nemo whispered. "I miss being a seal." "I'm sorry all that bad stuff happened, Nemo. I didn't know it would go so wrong. I really wanted to help." "I know that," he sniffled. "I'm sure, even like this, everything will work out okay for us. But it's still sad. It still hurts." Inside, Kiana brought a cup of soup to Malcolm, which he accepted. She sat beside him on the couch. For the moment, she paid no attention to Artemis, who sat in an adjacent chair. Malcolm watched her curiously. "You're being awfully nice to me all of a sudden." "For now, you are still my husband. We have 12 years together," Kiana replied. "I may not feel the same way about you anymore, but I don't want bad things to happen to you either." "So what of us, then?" "I've seen the real you, Malcolm," she frowned. "I don't like it. I just don't think we're right for each other anymore." He scowled. "So you'd rather have the seal over there?" "I don't know what I want, but I know what I need." "So it seems that's it then," he said. "We just don't care about each other the same way." "I want to be civil about it. I need it to be as easy on Raleigh as possible." Malcolm looked away. "Take him. He's made it very clear that he'd rather be with you. You'll get what you want then, won't you? You'll get to have your seal, and Raleigh can call him Daddy. I still have time to start over with something better." "You won't get much better if you talk to people like trash," Artemis finally said. "My trash, your treasure, right, Artemis?" He smirked. "I'm done borrowing her. You can have her back." It took quite a bit of effort for Artemis to hold himself together. Malcolm just knew how to get under his skin, and he wanted to really put that man in his place. It wasn't fair. His kind, the Selkies, had been accused of abandoning their lovers and their children. But that wasn't true of all of them. Yet this human was no better, and yet had the nerve to cast judgment on him. His anger was evident on his face, but still, rather than take Malcolm's bait, he chose to get up and leave the cabin. "Malcolm, why do you always have to be such a jerk?" Kiana scolded. "Gee, was it something I said?" he teased. "No matter. It won't be your problem much longer." Kiana wasn't even able to find a decent retort. She let out a huff and left him snickering as she chased after Artemis. "Artemis, wait," she called as they reached the deck. "Misery loves company." "He's got plenty of it," Atari interjected. He sat in a sun chair nearby, opposite Nemo and Raleigh. "Stay out of this, Atari," Artemis scolded boldly. It surprised the elder, as too Raleigh and Nemo. "Kiana, here and now is not a good time to discuss anything. The discomfort is too high." "Everything will be okay," she assured. "The choices are mine now. Malcolm, Jeff, and my father can't make them for me anymore." "Not here, Kiana," he repeated. "Let's keep the matter a private one for your family's sake. We will discuss it later." "I don't understand the tastes of some people," Atari remarked. "He said to stay out of it," Lazuli chimed in. "Besides, you don't have to push your opinion on everyone." "Due to our stressful situation, I'll overlook such blatant disrespect," Lazuli. "But don't push your luck too far." At the bow of the boat, Yue ran his fingers over the rope sadly. "It's a real pity, my friend. I always believed that you were a trustworthy soul. I will never stop believing it. There has to be a logical explanation for all of this." A seagull call overhead brought his attention to the sky. "You're in a better place now, aren't you? Perhaps where you are, my grandson is too." Maybe now someone will be there to tell him that we still love him. Yue? He looked over his shoulder to see Phoebus. He looked rather distressed, which seemed odd, more often than not for such a Selkie. What is it, Phoebus? I have something I need to tell you. Go on, he urged. What's bothering you? Atari would not let us speak before, the darker Selkie said. But we are out of his earshot now. Atari is a bull Selkie. And he's a bully, Yue remarked. I think that losing our skins has hurt him the most. And Lazuli, Phoebus added. No, I don't think so. Lazuli seems to be on his journey through the healing process. That's a place that Atari would never dare to tread. No, it is Atari that is the most bitter. Yue. I saw Nautilus. Safely out of Atari's earshot, Phoebus began to confess the incident on the Amphitrite. The calm Selkie seemed to tense. He peered over at the others by the cabin at irregular intervals. Disbelief was the first expression to settle on his face. Then by the time Phoebus had finished, it was frustration and anger. Atari! He flew around and marched towards the elder. He reached down and pulled him from his seat. Yue, what is the meaning of this? You lied to us, Atari. How could you withhold that sort of information from us? Did you know the whole time? What are you talking about? Nautilus! The other Selkies and Raleigh gasped in shock. Kiana was concerned, but not quite sure what they were referring to. But to utter that name, something important was not being said. What about Nautilus? Nemo asked, having perhaps more interest in the matter than anyone. Nautilus was on the Amphitrite, Yue declared. Nautilus was on the Aquaquami. What? From Nemo. You can't be serious, from Lazuli. How did we not see him? From Artemis. Admiral Nye Porter and Nautilus, Yue growled, are one and the same. The Admiral was Nautilus? Raleigh squeaked. He was a Selkie? How dare you, Atari? Yue roared. How dare you? How could you keep this from us? From Nemo? All this time, Nautilus was alive. He's not anymore, Atari spat. I didn't know at first. I found out when we were there. What difference does it make? We have gone for 300 years without him. And we've gone 200 without you. Don't you think it matters? Don't get too cocky with me, Yue, Atari warned. My patience is very thin. I had no clue. The last time I saw Nautilus, we were being attacked by sharks. We? Raleigh perked. You're Hagen's son? What of it? Atari hissed. You think that you know anything about the Selkies? You know nothing. Leave him alone, Kiana demanded. You shut your mouth, Atari replied. I know more than you think I do, Atari, Raleigh spat. That shark attack was no accident. You planned it. The whole thing, the race, the bite, the shark attack, you planned it all. You set him up, Atari. You couldn't face him and win fairly, so you retorted to treachery and cheating. You made those sharks come. You wanted him dead so that you could take his place. You wanted to take everyone away from the safety of Merrill Rock and take them back to Scotland. What? Nemo gasped. Atari! Lazuli spat. Say it isn't so. You killed him this time, too, Phoebus chimed in boldly as he narrowed his one good eye. Phoebus, Atari hissed. Whose side are you on? I'm on the side of the right. Our lives on Merrill Rock were blissful and without worry under the command of Nautilus, Yue growled. When he was gone, it went bad under you. After you were gone, it took a lot of effort to rebuild any sort of sanctity. Atari covered his ears. Shut up. You want to know the truth? Do you? Yes. Yes, I killed Nautilus. He killed my father. He took us away from a home that was rightfully ours. That migration cost lives needlessly in the open sea. He made us flee rather than fight. At least then our lives could have been lost with a purpose. But he turned us into cowards. He stole my birthright. The Selkies of Merrow Rock were and are mine to command. I couldn't win against him fairly, just as the brat said. So I had to start playing dirty. I challenged him to that race, and I attacked him. Yes, I inflicted that wound on purpose. I knew the blood would lure in the sharks. Being injured, he'd be the perfect target. I knew that he would never lead the sharks to Merrow Rock. He'd lead them away, even at the cost of his own life. Now Merrow Rock is mine. And just as planned, we will return to Scotland, and we will fight to regain our territory. No, you replied in a level tone. No. No, we will not follow you into such foolishness. You are but one, and we are many. You have proven that you are not capable of leading the Selkies. Atari began to laugh his hacking laugh. Who will replace me, Yue? You? Nemo? Oh, please. That's rich. We would follow the leadership skills that Nautilus had set before us, Nemo shouted. You cost me my family. In the blink of an eye, Atari burst through the group and snatched up Nemo. Everyone let out a gasp as he stepped backwards with his hostage. Everyone stay back. Do you know who Nemo is? He's the last of the Nautilus bloodline. He peered down at the Selkie child. A flicker of insanity sparkled in his eye. You are so troublesome. You are always so bubbly and cheerful. Life is not all smiles and forgiveness. You can't always trust your friends. Let him go, Atari, Yue demanded. Don't give me orders. I think all of you need to be put in your place. He lifted Nemo up and held him over the rail. The young Selkie let out whines and whimpers, terrified. Atari, no, he pleaded to his captor. There are sharks down there. Serve as an example, Nemo, he laughed. That's what Nautilus would have done. If you want your family so bad, you can join them all. You should thank me. Atari, don't, Raleigh pleaded. He's one of your own kind. Atari shook his head with a wicked chuckle. You are so foolish and naive, boy. I told you that I was not like the others. I am more powerful. He's just a child, Kiana cried out. Dear Mrs. Stock, I have no qualms about hurting a child. Besides, Nemo is older than you. We Selkies age much slower than you humans. We live longer. We are superior. Oh, Nemo cried. Be quiet, Atari spat before he dropped Nemo over the side without a second glance or care. He let out a high-pitched scream as he went down, as he crashed into the water. He landed on top of one of the sharks. He certainly had their attention now. No! Kiana cried out. Nemo! Raleigh called. Without a second thought, he grabbed the ring and rushed for the side of the boat. Raleigh! Kiana called after him. Come back, Raleigh! Atari simply stepped aside. He wasn't about to get in Raleigh's way. It was just one less person of him to dispose of. Kiana screamed and tried to rush forward. Artemis grabbed onto her and held her close to him as she flew into maternal hysterics. Kiana, you must stay back. Raleigh, no, my baby! She cried and sobbed as she collapsed into him. Two down, Atari cackled. Who will go next? Atari, Lajlai hissed. You are raving mad. Think of it as rough justice, Lajlai, the elder purred. This is sweet revenge for your pain. I would not do this. You're insane. This needs to stop, Phoebus declared. If you think you can, Phoebus, issue a proper challenge. If you can beat me, you can do as you please. What about Raleigh and Nemo? Lajlai asked. The ring had a line, Yue remembered. Hurry to the back. We may be able to catch it before the sharks start to frenzy. Artemis, get Kiana inside. It's too dangerous out here for her. I want to help my baby, she argued. Kiana, listen to me, Artemis urged. You must put your trust in them now. I will stay with you. But you must believe that there is a chance that they can bring Raleigh and Nemo back. The safest place for you from Atari is inside the cabin. His words were not what she wanted to hear, but she had little strength to argue. She gave in to him and allowed him to lead her inside. Phoebus cracked his knuckles. All right, Atari. I will fight you. This madness must end. You are unhealthy for the Selkies of Mirror Rock.